Hello my fellow YouTubers, this is Eddie Blog coming from you from Washington DC. This is August 23rd, Wednesday, and we're visiting our first stop is the Franklin D. Roosevelt Memorial, one of my favorite presidents. And as you can see, we could walk and see the man-made waterfall created. There's scripture on the wall. The only limit our relations of the tomorrow will be our solstice of today. Let us be moved forward with the strong and active faith. Very nice. Very calming. As you can see, the space is very nice. And this is white Eleanor Roosevelt. In this sculpture. I'm not going to read it because I mess it up when I say it. Continue here. And we go to his burial when Franklin passed away on his fourth term. Actually third, to be exact. Because of him, they passed laws that a president only could serve 2 terms. He died on his 3rd term. While being president. Now we continue, and you see the lake, or river actually. If memory serves me correct, that's the Potomac River. Here's more of the memorial. I'm going to pan around so you can see. And here's a small statue. Franklin D. Roosevelt sitting. Favorite dog. And there's a description of the statue. Story event is doing the signing of World War II peace. When we had the war with Japan. And then you see the actual statue. Our greatest presidents we ever had. Next to Lincoln, Jefferson, Washington. Created a lot of programs. He's the inventor of Social Security. And we continue. Here's another engraving on the wall. Again, if you want to read the whole thing, pause the video. And you're able to read what's on the wall. It's a beautiful day today. 82, but it feels a lot better. Here's another engraving I almost missed. I have seen war. And what it says. And right next to it there's another one. Hopefully you can see it. And now we come to the actual creation of it, of the park, how it was made. And here's a description of it. The hate of war, which I agree. Here's another part. Smooth, the smooth sound of water falling. If I remember correctly, this is about, could be wrong, but I think this is about the Depression. There's another one. Description. Beautiful waterfall. Another description. Further down. These are the faces and of people of that time during the Depression. It was dedicated to all Americans in the United States. They worked and suffered during that time, during the time of war, during a time of country in crisis. Nice backdrop. A lot of visitors putting their hands on the palm trim. See their hands fit. This is a memorial of the working man. In that time there was no television, there was radio. And they would listen to all the broadcasts, the news, world events. I remember as a child doing that. But that was toward the end of the era of this kind of. Here is a line of the soup kitchens during the Depression. See the engraving. How people lived in poorness, simple, in poverty. And now we continue down the path to another engraving. There's a engraving there. Among the American citizens, there should be no forgotten man and no forgotten races. Something we struggle, but it's true. This was a little hard to see. If you see the flag, there's like people in the background. And Roosevelt inside a motorcade in a car. And the inscription on top. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. His famous words that he said when he was addressing Congress when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Listen to that water. And here's another engraving. This one you can see clearly because of the shade. You can pause the video and read the plaque. Another engraving. All around in every wall there's an engraving is saying when he was alive and serving as our president. Words he used to give to Americans when they were in despair. No wise words. Not from the politician. He was so relatable as president. And here's the words for that one. Engraved. 1933. And then a giant engraving against this wall. 1945, when he served 1933 to 1945. And this is the last part of his memorial. We'll come to the end of that. Him sitting in his little wheelchair because he was paralyzed from the waist down. He tried to conceal his disability because he didn't want to be judged. He was not ashamed of it. There's an engraving behind him. Very hard to see. Try to get as close as possible. And it's engraved and in Braille in case visually impaired people cannot. So like I was saying, he was not ashamed of his disability. He just didn't want that to be the judgment of who he is. He was much more than his unfortunate disability, which in a sense gave him strength.